woes. The great series yesterday between Africa and Sandbox today. Was loving where this one was in terms of where these teams are currently on the standings, but even on the Rift, the action has been fun. Pick and ban was really exciting for game number 1. Let's keep those pesky Urgots and Lissandras at arm's length if we can, DAMWON Gaming and Hanwha Live. More of game 1, please. That's all I ask.
Game 1, fantastic in terms of action, in terms of what the lanes had to offer, especially the mid lane. And even though Punch didn't do much on his Lee Sin, he got the first gank that got the mid lane so far ahead, so felt good at least to have him back on that pick. And speaking of jungle picks, we do have the Bono champion taken away. Olaf no longer on the Rift this time.
Now, DAMWON Gaming are on blue, which is a very big up and down thing for them. On the one hand, hooray, we can ban away some more champions because blue side has less flexibility, has more flexibility to ban things that are target bans rather than the must ban champions on red side. However, can't last pick for Noguri as easily on blue side. So that's always the duality we discuss with DAMWON Gaming. Means they get the Olaf ban, and that means Lee Sin is suddenly very highly contested between Punch and Bono. But a lot's open. Zoe, for example, will be first picked in other drafts, could be considered here, but Showmaker popped off on LeBlanc. He's 4-0 on that pick, and you could first pick that one as well. So a lot of things to consider, but they go for the head-to-head jungle matchup. And will keep Punch on his trusty Lee Sin, and Bono has to go to 3rd and below when it comes to effective champion pool. You can consider Xin Zhao for the 1v1. Otherwise, you're probably giving up priority with something like a Zac or a Nocturne.
Is this the day for the early Rek'Sai you were talking about?
That's the thing, is people are playing it because Conqueror Rek'Sai is strong, and it's a good matchup here. And sometimes you get that bleeding over, right? If we had 9.3 for an extra week, you'd have people who were scrimming on 9.4 Rek'Sai being like, but what about the matchup against Lee? And then remembering it's not that good. I feel that way when I see LPL teams playing Corki on 9.2. I'm like, no, let's wait for that one.
No.
Instead, we do get the scaling. So we go for the level 6 jungler. It means that Lee Sin has more early options, could also be farming to level 6 next to the Nocturne. But Nocturne, and mostly because of her ultimate and the ability to be able to just take out the vision, Nocturne's still going to be a thing.
We see the return of Sivir here for Sangyun. Will be his 2nd time on that pick. Once again, Lucian and Ezreal banned out in the first lineup alongside Vlad for champions that could go into the bottom lane in that 80 carry role, but Sangyun gonna pick this Sivir up early and make sure that it doesn't get taken away, nor banned here in game 2.
Nocturne's a he, right? I was actually unsure of that as I said that.
I think, well, you know.
Rek'Sai is a she.
You never know, right?
That's true. We'll have to ask them next time.
He has a very deep voice, but, you know, that doesn't mean too much in this day and age.
How about Sangyun going back to an 80 carry? That does mean something, because it was noted in game number 1 when he was on an awesome dude that they didn't have late game options. We wondered where good old Yasuo was, Valdez. Here he is, finally. He is now actually in the trio that he wasn't picked in game number 1. So given that, we got sick knock-up synergy and Showmaker, not Tempt, potentially on this Yasuo.
Yeah, we will, that LeBlanc being hovered here, and Tempt will be hopping onto that pick before the bans do come along this time around. LeBlanc, take a look at that win rate, 76%, 13-4. Definitely one of the big picks you'll see in the mid lane nowadays.
But not with an identifiable matchup. That's the thing here, is we don't know for sure. This will be Showmaker on the pick. Nuclear could be playing bot lane Yasuo. Noguri could definitely be playing top lane Yasuo. It's not like when we have a tank player and we're like, well, he's not going to play Yasuo. Noguri could definitely consider it. You like having flex aggressive champions on DAMWON's draft, because then you don't know until 20 seconds who will be piloting which pick. Speaking of picks, Noguri doesn't get access to his Rise. There's been a big pickup in Rise play and solo queue even before 9.4 means that Conqueror Rise actually looking like a really viable pick. Next patch, Noguri is an outstanding Rise player. It's a Showmaker staple as well. So probably a smart ban, because you know on blue side, DAMWON want to have 2 to 3 picks they can flex with and then work it out later based on Hanwha Live's last pick.
No Yorick this time around. Sorry about that, guys. Did receive a loss in the first game up against that one, but how about a Shen here? You see Key nodding his head. He's always happy about his Shen. Going to probably hop back onto that one unless they do some crazy top Shen shenanigans. Haven't seen that in a while.
Does tell you that they're probably going to pick something lane dominant as the final pick here to make use of the 1-3-1 Shen porting around DWG are bold enough to pick Zoe into LeBlanc, even though LeBlanc is considered a lane counter. On the DWG gaming side, it does seem increasingly like Nuclear might be jumping onto that Yasuo if they do lock in an Aatrox final pick. Considering their options here, could also just pick up an AD carry if they want to. Victor, of course, could be considered for some wave clear as well if you want a non-interactive bot lane. What will the final decision be? It will be that Aatrox, so Yasuo, Alistar bot lane against Shen and Sivir. No one's really got too much early power there, but the range champion and the wave clear lead to Hanwha Life.
And now we have to wait and see what is going to be the answer to that Aatrox up in the top side. Lots of hovering here onto the Aurelia. But we haven't really seen her too much after the changes. Looks like our old good friend Urgot is back up into the top lane. Everybody's favorite there.
It's Tal's old friend, and it's also a strong pick into Aatrox. Remember, this is a 50-50 matchup that is much less 50-50 after Worlds, when we saw that being reliably the winner with the item changes, with the nerfs to Aatrox, especially in recent patches. I think Urgot has a pretty big lead in this lane, and Shen is going to be there later to give his friend a hand. So because of that, I think Tal gets away with a comfort pick for him and a good pick in lane. Noguri is a real handful on the Aatrox, and he's still playing one of the few top laners next to Summit, and I believe one other player to be playing lane Aatrox. After you look at a team like Griffin, when they lock in Aatrox, you're almost 100% certain it's going to the jungle.
Yeah, certainly does feel that way. As, well, I like the strategy of Beryl, by the way. I wanted to mention this. He plays a bunch of Galio right before he's played, just so that the enemy team can't expend a band on his Alistar, and they pick it first round 2 games in a row. He looks so clean in game number 1 on the Alistar. He gets it again, and this time alongside the Yasuo, which they do prioritize a little bit more than the mid lane this time around. So really interesting stuff, and feeling pretty good about DWG's chances in this one.
I'm feeling good about DWG's chances eventually, just like game 1. However, let's be a bit more dispassionate, look at lanes and say, ooh, Urgot into Aatrox, nice. LeBlanc into Zoe, nice. Bot lane with a range lead, nice. There's a real potential here. The Hanwha Life are in an even more potent position in the early game outside of Nocturne's level 6 requirement to get going. The organic leads in this lane might be enough for them to just open up a gold lead that Noguri's late game scaling can never cash in on like he could on Fiora, so there's no guarantees that they can cash their checks this time, DAMWON Gaming.
Comes down to the play. Let's see how it goes in game number 2. Wow. Big cheer there for our friends at Hanwha Life. Lots of fans coming down here. Definitely one of the bigger organizations that loves to market their team and even have big fan events. There was one actually at the Nexon Arena, right at the start of the LCK Spring 2019, when we weren't sure what this team was going to achieve here, especially going into Caspa Cup and losing to a not even challenger team. But it's a happy story for them so far. They'd like to continue that happy story by tying this one up, but DWG Gaming looking to shut that down.
And I think our global fans are probably going to have, understandably, very little understanding of just how big Hanwha is as a sponsor. Hanwha Life, of course, their life insurance version of a massive company up there with the international names like Samsung, for example, and the other big, massive companies in Korea. So Hanwha Life is actually a huge sponsor to pick up the former Rocks Tigers, and they're going to obviously have the goal of making playoffs as a minimum, you would think. I'm sure that was the story last year, and they were so close. It's about getting past the 6th place position they found themselves in spring and summer, and it's about getting past some tricky laning phases for their opposition as DAMWON. They've got some light at the end of the tunnel, but let's see if Hanwha Life can snuff it out.
Very important game for both of these teams. You were mentioning how Hanwha Life on the cusp multiple times in a row, Rocks Tigers as well. But this is a team that they have to beat if they want to secure that spot, because these are the two teams that are going to be fighting for that lower end of the playoff spots. I mean, you got Griffin up at the top, you got SKT, even Sandbox still with already 7 wins. It's going to be hard for them not to make it into playoffs. I mean, 3 more wins and they're basically in, right? So not too many spots, and games like this are going to be the decider. Both of these teams, as I mentioned before this matchup, they lose to the big teams, you know, the SKTs, the Sandboxes, and the only difference is that DWG lost to Kingzone. So definitely a big game and a big win for both of these teams to pick up tonight.
And the other difference is that there's no DNA of a team that did that over the course of 2018 as well for the Rocks Tigers into Hanwha Live. That's unfortunately been their MO of slam the teams below them and just not be good enough to get above that position of 6th, 7th. That's kind of where they've currently been. So because of that, they really are trying to rewrite history, and DWG are still creating new history. They are players who, outside of Nuclear and Punch, when he's now playing in place of Canyon, have no LCK experience. And because of that, it's not as damning for them one round robin in.
So we take a look at the bottom lane so far. Has been pushed in.
Whoa.
And oh boy, trying to get this started real early. The spell shield way too early here from Songyun, but good flash away. Beryl in a lot of trouble. One more tower shot and he goes down. Can they even get the kill on a Songyun? Showmaker has to flash away. The dodge circle comes in, but he does pick up the kill. In the end, wow, what a close one. But in the end, DWG at least pick up the kill.
It was ultra close at the end. Damn, was the Spirit's Refuge clutch, because almost did Sivir get up with another kill involvement. Beryl messed up aggro pretty bad here. We'll watch the replay and understand it. Key opens with the taunt. I believe it does hit, and that means that Beryl has aggro. Of course, annoying. He hadn't used any spells by then. He actually can't do anything after the taunt, so the taunt ends up guaranteeing the kill. Watch the Spirit's Refuge, because Punch is one auto away, but can't auto attack unless it's out of range there. So just about gets the kill, but almost 3 kills out of nowhere to Hanwha Live.
And that's a very big move to make this early on in the game. Partially, you know, they had a massive wave pushing in, and maybe that's why they called for it, but to get that early of a dive off.
Well, think about if it does work, you get a really good back timing in the bottom side. Songyun doesn't have teleport. If he had teleport, he would have died, and it would have been a clean call there. So I wonder, they fully put all the eggs into the right basket there. But in this case, if you take down, flash heal, and get a bad back timing for the Sivir, maybe Yasuo and Asa can actually have the lane ascendancy with 3 scaling lanes like we mentioned, and they can run away with the game. Getting more gold into a game where eventually more gold suits your comp more than the enemy comp, that's what scaling comps means that you have just a higher chance of winning earlier. So I understand why they went for it. The execution after the taunt was tricky, and after, including the taunt, it's probably the best case scenario because Beryl just had no way to play.
Oh, there you go. Finally, the Battlestar comes in. Showmaker hit by the chains, but wins the trade and is actually winning the lane for now, at least, slightly.
No level 6, of course. So without level 6, things are a little bit trickier for LeBlanc to just dunk on the enemy. So nice moves by Showmaker, and we're starting to understand why he felt bold enough to pick this into Hanwha Live. It's not quite Lava, who is probably the most famous LeBlanc player on this lineup, but Tempt has his moments. Showmaker has already thrift shopped his way to a Super Soaker, so for now can walk up pretty happily.
Fano skirting out of vision there, wants to get that deeper control ward down. Not quite level 6. You were mentioning how these junglers, Lee Sin might just go to scale and say, okay, you know, let's see what happens at level 6. Maybe I can get my own gank off. Well, they went for a dive. Did go 1 for 1 in the end, but of course Nocturne just doing his thing, farming up about a camp and a half here, maybe 2 camps ahead of the Lee Sin. So about to hit level 6 here soon, maybe on that red buff.
After the dive, this lane going better than expected for Nuclear and Beryl. While we like the ranged advantage, should be noted that Sivir not known for her laning prowess, and Shen is always one of the weakest supports to draft in a scenario like this. The only thing you can say about Shen is he has unbelievable value against Yasuo bot lane, because Spirit's Refuge is god tier when it comes to being able to negate damage. Melee champions versus Shen support is why we rate this lane in terms of post-level 3 laning. Because at the end of the day, taunt into Spirit's Refuge actually gets you just insane value, specifically against melee threats.
Bono not level 6 on that red buff actually, still waiting for 1 more camp, but how about an early gank up into the top side? Can make this happen even if the Aatrox does have flash and ult with the Urgot ultimate, if you can land it and drag him back, but they're not going to try for that one just yet. They're going to ping the Krugs, and he should definitely hit 6 off of that if he does wait around.
There was a chance he could sap experience if the wave was in the right spot, but understandably going to back away. This is the new timing for level 6 in a non-interactive game, closer to 8 minutes. About 7:30, 7:20 is the kind of min-max, and then from there, about 8 minutes if things don't go exactly as planned. So, level 6, like you mentioned, going to be picked up. See where the approach will be. Noguri has everything up, but typical Noguri, he's always under the enemy turret, always super pushed.
He doesn't really back off here, and Tal's build, kind of funny, just double Ruby Crystal and a bunch of sustain with that Corrupting Pot, and that's just about it. Punch getting aggressive in here to the blue buff, might be able to steal that away from LeBlanc.
It's the area they've controlled, and with the respawn on the walls, they're very confident the Nocturne is going to be a whiles away. They can even donate the blue buff over to Showmaker.
Yeah. You can see all the red pings that were coming in this time around. Ooh.
No Paddle Star. No Resonating Strike. No problem this time for Temp. Gets the bad news about the blue buff, and that does also baby Showmaker further through what we know is a really tricky lane for the Zoe.
Yeah. He's having fun. He's up 20 CS with the babying that has come in, and you can say the same about the bottom side as well. The Yasuo very far ahead in this one too.
He's even been full bro tier status and actually upgraded the Targons. I imagine this was a gold issue or a gold decision. He backed with about 1,600 gold, clearly. But that means that Beryl, once again, might be able to go for a snowball support item, which could be really big. That was key in game number 1. This time, Beryl going to have a bit more income.
And you can see that Punch not letting go of this Ocean Drake as Tempt, no mana. I mean, he doesn't have a blue buff, so he's backing right now. The Nocturne's in the top side, so they just say, hey, might as well take that early Ocean Drake here at 9.5 minutes. It's ours, it's free.
So how did DWG Gaming do this with what we called a scaling comp? And we should think about that. We should examine it, and other teams should think about it too. The proactive turret dive around the ability of Alistar, Yasuo, and Lee Sin to look for dives, disengage aggro, was a proactive move that warped this bot side of the map. It's all been influenced by, against a low agency jungler like Bono on this Nocturne, making a proactive move that Nocturne can't really shadow. He's a lot more predictable. But his jungle pathing to min-max a level 6 timing pre-8 minutes. And in that time, they've been able to find good news story after good news story. The first was the turret dive. The second one, the blue buff steal, which is from Vision laid earlier because they've controlled blue side quadrant of Hanwha Live Esports.
Wow, that's a very deep ward behind the turret, as there is the TP available right now for Tal, and of course level 6 here on Bono. Tempt hanging around if they really wanted to push some kind of 5-man. That would be a big ward to go for it, but it doesn't quite look like it just yet. As still waiting for that first paranoia of the game. Tempt actually in a bit of an awkward spot there. Used the double jump and almost got hit by that last Sleepy Trouble bubble. Would have meant a ton of damage going his way.
Watching this all here, all being contested, but like you say, just no one will be scouting out that lane ward spot. So cute one there to pick up. Kind of a Rammus lane ward that we used to see in previous metas. The lane gang, spot lane, we're going hard.
Everybody's getting in there. No TP just yet. Insta-cleanse, and down will go Bono. And here is the cow as well. Should easily be able to get Songyun. Key desperately trying to tank the turret, but he sticks around and gives a free kill. Back to the side of Nuclear, a failed dive gives DWG Gaming 3 free kills.
Could there be any more insult upon injury? They go for the deep lane ward to look for that all-in Shen Nocturne Griffin style, and they get punished in the biggest way possible with so much aplomb. That was a set-piece play gone wrong, and they will lose 3 kills, more turret plates, just a disaster for Hanwha Live.
I just got this face of horror right now, as I can hardly believe that that is what they went for. It just failed so, it fell so flat on its face. As we take another look here.
So there's no way for Sivir to join in. So instantly, you haven't done another 300 damage onto Yasuo. That means Yasuo can disengage. Punch is around for the counter gank, and then just everything slides into place in the biggest way possible. It couldn't have gone better for the reactive team.
Even Showmaker's there first. He's like, hey, let me help with this alley-oop, you know.
There's Flame joining in next to Coach Kim Jung-soo and the other analyst. He's not smiling. He's not involved today, but damn, on the inside is feeling good because his team is looking like, with a 1-0 lead and that early game move, in a great spot to pick up what would be a pretty surprising 2-0.
Would be surprising. I mean, we were saying it was a 2-1. We were expecting also Hanwha Life to do a bit better, but they're not the team that showed up today. You take a look at the series of DAMWON up against Kingsun, and you're like, wow, okay, DAMWON, what is this exactly? Why are you getting crushed so hard? But they have certainly turned this around after a couple of big wins in a row that you were mentioning before, whereas Hanwha Life didn't quite show up on the same level. All the lanes are losing right now, and after that gank, even the jungle's losing, just everything is falling apart for Hanwha.
Yeah, and based on LCK expectation, you know, the Urgot into the Aatrox. The nameplate's off. I think you really like Tal's position in this map. But
Punch didn't forget the Rift Herald, by the way.
No, he didn't. That's a
jungle difference, guys.
Big
there you
thumbs
go.
up to him after game number 1. I guess we have to talk about it. Our LeBlancs have been having a field day on Zoe. We really don't consider Zoe a safe choice with LeBlanc available, and yet was drafted into it. And then bot lane, with how much value the Spirit's Refuge should be providing and the range advantage, thought that Sivir would at least be able to go competitive, but all rewritten by a really nice dive into just full game agency to DWG Gaming. And top side has been not discussed at all, and Nagori's been able to just play like there's no enemy jungler, because effectively, especially after the ult bot lane being the first use of the ult, he hasn't had to worry about one at all.
That's very true. TP back over to the top side just to try to catch this wave. As nothing much going wrong. I'm sure Showmaker super happy about the newer, more aggressive and more skill-oriented mid lane matchups that we get nowadays. And you know, I mean, this could have been. This is a meta where we can see this matchup just done opposite as well. You know, one time one guy gets a Zoe, the other guy gets LeBlanc, and then the next time opposite. And Showmaker's one of those guys that is going to try his hardest to prove that he's making the show, and he is the big skilled young player now in the LCK.
But it's only those last 4 games, the win streak DWG's on, where you could actually say that with a straight face, Valdez. You might have to say some action is. They're considering their options here. The sleep
in goes Barrel, and oh boy, Yasuo is nearby. It's as easy as like a couple of button presses. Punch, nice kick over the wall. Trying to get that LeBlanc into danger. Not quite going to kill him just yet, but Key is going to pay the price instead as Punch also gets away. It's utter disaster right now for Hanwha's. DWG are crushing them in game 2.
Teamfight conceptualization from Punch doesn't pay off in the biggest way possible, but it looks damn cool along the way to another DWG victory. And the point I was getting to, Valdez, is this is Showmaker week 4 onwards. Previously, he was looking like a guy out of meta. He looked like Peanut in a...
And he was.
You know, like Peanut in a tank jungle meta in previous years where you're like, okay, we know this guy is good, but he's just not performing because of the picks that are in. You're right. Now the fans are seeing on the LCK stage what Showmaker can do when he's not shackled to Urgot and Lissandra and Galio. He looked uncomfortable on those picks in Kesper Cup. Same story at the start of LCK. Now that he's going for damage carries, we get to see the name and actually understand why he considers himself a Showmaker.
Nice engaged by Barrel, and you see that Punch goes for the
He
kick
flashes
flash
over the ultimate there, the Fear Beyond Death that would have armed on him as well and can skip
and
out.
Gets the LeBlanc over the wall as well. It was the perfect play, basically, from the side of Punch, and that's what we wanted from his Lee Sin. We finally get to see it again, and, well, I feel like this guy is here to stay in the jungle. He's 4-0-2, 100% kill participation in game 2. This guy's a bit of a beast on this pick.
Pour one out for the Jug King, stuck in solo queue is Canyon, still 17, he still has time, but Punch, if they win this series 2-0, is on a 6-game winning streak in the LCK. 5-game winning streak, I should say, and you know what? If he's getting the Lee Sin, just like Bono with the Olaf in previous games, you're starting to think, maybe you got to start banning away a couple of his picks and get Punch onto the champs he struggled on in the LCK a couple of years ago.
You're mentioning the Galio, Lissandra, Urgot meta. Well, Showmaker before this played 4 games of Galio, 3 games of Lissandra, 2 games of Urgot, and 1 game of Sion as well.
And those are all champions that he looked, you know, bottom half in his role on. He was not a top 5 on any of those picks. And his Lissandra evolved to be fine. If you remember at Kesper Cup, he was a pretty rotten Lissandra player, and okay on Galio, purely because he could just ult in reactively.
Press a Q and do damage.
This guy's the Katarina one trick, right? And it's understandable that when you're role-playing a tank, you're like, this isn't a reset at all. And that's just the reality of that. The moment that I was really sad about Showmaker was when, if you remember, there was a blind pick on a champion you could definitely take Cat into on that, and that he played the same matchup on in solo queue. I think it was, I don't know if it was Zoe in the first week, but it was a champion that he really liked Cat into. He played 3 or 4 games in solo queue that matchup, and he went something like Scion, and I was like, come on, Showmaker, where are we at? This Showmaker is games away, not weeks away, but games away from unleashing Cat. And if Kesper Cup's any indication, Cat Blind is something DAMWON Gaming consider from time to time.
Yeah, you know, maybe even just try it out up against the lower level teams and see what happens. Still looking for it, well.
That's the Showmaker we love to see.
Really enjoying this show, I'm sure his Twitch chat as well. That's just the caster curse coming on in. We say a bunch of good stuff about him, and then he just flubs one of those ones. Might even die here as well, as in goes the side of Hanwha Life. But there is an item called a stopwatch, and Showmaker is going to be okay this time around. Barrel looking for that engage. That's an angry cow. He waits on the engage, doesn't quite get it. As the spell shield does come in, just threatening there on the edge there.
I wonder if that was a range thing or just an outplay, because he actually flashed and got 2 enemy flashes, including Sivir. So actually, without going in there, you don't take turret aggro. So it's actually the right move in hindsight, but we are unsure how much effect there was. Here he is again.
Here he is, a huge head splash. He gets 2 in the back line as the destruction continues. DWG Gaming looking unbelievable in this one as Nuclear going nuclear in the backside. Should be the clean ace to the side of DWG Gaming. Bloodwell is up, and 5 members go down on the side of Hanwha Life.
Confirmed KR flash. Looked like an NA to some. KR confirmed the Hex flash over the wall with the control ward down. Gets into the back line, and they might just end the game. If not, they put a lethal dagger through the heart of Hanwha Life Esports.
What a fight. Didn't look like there was much of a ward over the wall, and Barrel comes back with this cow. You don't want to expend 2 bans for this guy, but man, his Alistair is damn clean.
That was really cool. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt in hindsight now, because he sets up this play where Songyun says, I'd really like to wave clear. They know 2 flashes are down. They were used a second earlier. Yasuo joins. He even goes for a turret dive later into this play. They pile on, and DWG Gaming team fight ready and then some, way earlier than expected.
And once you get a couple, when you're this far ahead, obviously, just the dominoes keep falling. Not much to stop them there. It was 5-0, going the way of DWG, who are now 11-1 in kills. The only thing that stops it from being a perfect game is that 1 kill that went onto the Alistair. So,
speaking of,
man, okay. Well,
zoning Q there, all calculated from Barrel.
They call that the shotgun in Korea. When you shotgun your keyboard, when you're really mad at the PC bong, they call that shotgunning. That's what they say about Alistair when he slams the ground and messes up his combo. It's kind of funny. Yeah,
I appreciate that. Bit of baby rage moment from there. Well, let's try Zoe again.
Well, he does have a flash. He's going to easily be able to flash away from that one, and Punch is just going to get another kill onto his board as Songyun desperately trying, but that's a huge redemption. And a big paddle star going the way of DWG. Okay, there's a big beast behind you. Forgot about Nuggery. Well, not forgetting about him now as he's going to stomp on Tempt, and this is once again just the slaughter going the way of DWG. They're not going to even let the Shen live, as he will also go down. Another clean ace goes the way of Hanwha, or rather DWG Gaming, as they should be able to push this one to the victory.
They're going to look for the end here. Could there be a sadder journal entry than every Bono Ultimate this game? Everyone turned against him in criminal fashion. DWG Gaming going to win 2-0 in a must-win series for both these teams and confirm their candidacy for the playoff spots.
Wow, that was one of the most one-sided games we've had here as well in the LCK. It was before 22 minutes. I mean, that was one of the quickest.